about it yesterday, just that chip on your shoulder. Everyone talking about a neutral AFC Championship game, not even thinking about you guys. How much did that motivate you coming into this?
You better send those refunds.
I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. We ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. We ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up. Back-to-back champs, kings of the north with it. Thinking they can hang with us, still ain't jumped out the porch with it. Long bomb to chase every Sunday, watch him go and get it. Double up on him, then we gon' double down on T. Higgins. Then throw Boyd in the mix, now you really iffy. Every Sunday showing boys how to really gritty. They try to shuffle up the game on us, but they ain't icky. Flip the coin, kick the toe right to the go and get it. Never know what's gonna happen when Joe drop back. He get shiesty in the pocket, I get shiesty on the track. Nobody on the team all pro, that's all cap. Most all around team in the NFL, that's all fact. Ain't came across nobody yet that seem like they can hang with us. They said we couldn't be Buffalo, but see how we call they bluff. Underdogs every week, they keep on trying to label us. Put your money on us, even if Vegas don't favor us. No matter what, we really came up, now it's hard to fail. I dare you come across that middle, Von gon' ring your bell. I know we under they skin, them boys built frail. Eli Apple out there chirping like a next tail. You don't want Salmon Trey to come off them ends. Rita clogging up the middle like a big body Benz. Right behind them Logan and Pratt, the turnover twins. Jesse Bates in the backfield just to clean up the loose ends. We just drafted Cam and drafted Hill. Instant gratification every time that they on the field. We can't go back to what we was, cause that's the loser way. It's been hard to...
Welcome to another episode of Bengals and Brews. I am Dell Ullman, joined by Houday Joe and Parker Blake. Parker Blake 60 on Twitter. Check him out. Big things coming. Chatterbox Sports for our man. Post-game show. Crushing it. New background. Beautiful Cincy hat. Just a beautiful man. The beard's on point. What is that? Alex Kappa jersey?
Yes, sir.
Oh my gosh, our man is just beautiful. We love him so much. We're happy to have him here with us tonight, and happy to have you all in the chat here on a lovely Saturday night. What's up, guys?
What's up, man?
The dream, man.
I don't know. I feel like I brought some energy there. I didn't have to.
No,
you did.
I don't know where it came from. I'm done now.
I've been I've been in the Madden grind all day. I finally got it yesterday.
Oh, I just tweeted out and asked if it was any good, so that's a good place to start.
No, I mean I've enjoyed it. Coverage is garbage. I played a little game against the Browns, preparing for week 1, and it was like a 120-point total game because DBs couldn't cover anything, but neither they couldn't cover me either. So,
have you got to play any of the training camp games yet?
Well, so I started a career just barely, and they have like a little combine that you do. You do like the bench press, the 40, the shuttle.
Well, that's different too.
Yeah.
I thought they had like the mini games back. I
remember the mini games.
I was going to do the mini games ago tonight, so I'll keep you posted. Don't worry.
All right, because I love that, and they took them away, and I've been so mad. And then somebody's like, I think they're bringing it back this year, and I saw they were bringing it back, and I was like, them sons of bitches are going to make me buy the game again.
Now, that's a good question. Antoine's like, take it off rookie, dude. What difficulty are you on?
I'm an all Madden guy, so I mean, that ain't me. I will say I played my career in rookie because I want to like break every record known to man. So, but when I play on all Madden.
What is beyond rookie? Like, what's the next step up?
It's like rookie, pro, all pro.
Yeah, I might play pro maybe if that, and I still don't like win that much.
I have a couple ex players that'll hit me up to play every now and then, so I have to keep my game on point. So I gotta play a little.
Did you just say that you have a couple ex players?
You got it.
I'm getting it. We haven't.
My ex players, not real players. I'm not that cool. All right.
I was like, this man just on there playing with like Zeus.
He's like, yeah, Willie Anderson hits me up sometimes.
Me and Chad, we go back and forth every now and then.
Yeah.
I was like, good Lord, I got to break the graphic out for that. That was a pre-graphiculation then.
Yeah, I got a little excited. That's on me.
Well, it's on us too, but we both kind of was like, and then it was weird. Both like, we're getting that graphic.
Oh, I was getting the graphic. I saw your hand moving. I'm like,
I mean, that's probably been like at least a month or so since we played that graphic. So maybe we needed to dust it off anyways.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was stored in there. You gotta let it out.
Yeah,
exactly.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say we were saying before before you joined. I was like, that backdrop you got in the new house is amazing.
That is literally. I
No,
was
you're
about to
right.
call out. I was about to call out the picture. I was like, he's even the picture is the picture is the Chase doing that. That's what caught my eye, and I was about to say that.
New office, new me. You know, gotta
Love it.
show it off a little bit.
It looks.
It's
good.
the only picture I have, so I have to put it everywhere. And then I want to put my Volson jersey over here. I got like a retro Volson jersey when I was out there for the Bills game.
I bet
I
that
need to
looks
get it
sharp.
signed.
Oh, that's the plan. When
The
I'm out
white
there
or
week
the
2.
black retro?
You should have melted up to Bengals and bourbon earlier in the summer.
He told me to send it to him because they have that thing going on in August where
I'll be there
or
too.
whatever. But I want to do it. I want to be there. I want to get it done.
Like it's not the same. Well, he got my Clark Harris sign and to my best friend and everything. I was fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's fine. You get it. Appreciate it.
I'm not getting a Carmen jersey just to get that out of the way.
Not getting a Carmen.
Saw that pop up. Gotta kill that one.
Yeah, you might be able to get game worn Carmen jerseys for like $50 here.
Well, like I posted that Billy Price one I saw for auction that like the minimum bid was 20 and there was 0 bids on it.
It's brutal.
Poor guy.
We have a friend that is friends with Billy Price, so we try to not hate on him too.
No, I'm not hating on Billy Price. I just saw it. I honestly I put a bid in. I put a bid in for 20. I put a bid in for 50, and then it shot on up.
There you go. You started this. See,
you showed the Billy Price love.
Yeah. Hey, he's still hanging around. I think he just got a little bit of an injury, is what when he signed, and then or he didn't pass the physical or something because of an injury. I think he's actually going to probably re-sign. Where was that? New Orleans or somewhere? I can't remember exactly who he signed with and then got dinged up. Either way, I think he'll be back. He's been making rosters.
Oh, it was New Orleans.
He's been a solid little, depth guy and came in and had to play some. He looked good that first year as a center for us, and then it just didn't work out.
He gets hate because he was a first rounder.
And that's the thing, man. Is Jackson Carmer going to go somewhere and all of a sudden it's just going to click for him? That happens too.
That's what we're hoping for Orlando, right? He's going to come over and just sync up with Volson and the boys and get rolling.
Go from Pro Bowl to All Pro. That would be his next step. We'll get more into O-line here in a minute. Obviously, having the great O-line guru and Parker Blake on with us. But I just want to start right at the top. Right, position by position, we'll go offense, and we'll have an extended O-line segment, and then we'll try to get to defense. So just kind of what we seen from the Atlanta game yesterday, the quarterback battle, non-battle battle. What even is it at this point? They bring in an outside guy. I thought Browning definitely outplayed Simeon. And Simeon came in earlier, so he had more of the second-team O-line guy, and he had Jonah Williams, who's a starter playing at right tackle. And Simeon was 7 for 14 for 62 yards. It looked like he got happy feet immediately the moment he thought there was pressure. I thought on the first drive, Simeon looked good on that drive, and I tweeted that. I wish I could recant that statement because after that, the man did nothing. He looked awful after that first drive. The rest of the half, he looked awful. I mean, there's no other way to put it. It was trash. It was a trash performance by Simeon, and that's 2 weeks in a row, trash performances by him. Browning, 4 carries, 50 yards, a lot of that on that drive that took the lead and then ended up being a game-tying drive ultimately. And 16 for 22, but only 140 yards. To me, Browning clearly outplayed him. If you said you got to pick one of them, to me, number 2 right now is Browning. But I'll start with Parker and then kick it up to you, Joe. What are your thoughts on the 2 guys there, and then would you bring in an outside guy, and do you think the Bengals will?
I don't think they will because it doesn't feel very Bengals to me, personally. I think as far as the battle goes, I've always been pretty high on Browning ever since he came out. And I think he looks a lot more patient in the pocket, and he keeps his eyes downfield really well. He just kind of sits in there and is willing to make stuff happen. We saw him rushing in the fourth quarter. He just kind of wants to be in there and make plays. I know people talk about him trying to do too much. But like you said, I think Simeon just kind of has happy feet. He gets a lot more nervous back there and just tries to force stuff, which I don't like. So I'm on the same train. Browning is my number 2 right now, and I don't think they're going to bring anybody else in.
Yeah, I don't have a ton to add. I think I have been impressed that Browning has looked more talented physically than Simeon. I think that's pretty clear. but Simeon, I expected to make a lot better decisions. Him being in the league for a while with a lot of starting experience. And that's what's been really surprising to me about Simeon. I was just like, dude, like, we know you're not going to be launching 60-yard bombs, but like, we expect you to make the right decisions and know when to hang in the pocket, when to throw it away, when to check down. And it's just been bad against backups. It's like, either way, I keep saying it. I try not to look too much into the backup competition because I'm like, if we have to go to one of these guys, we are fucked.
Yeah.
So I do give the slight edge to Browning, but it wouldn't surprise me if Simeon still wins just because he has more starting experience.
That's a great point, though. Like, I mean, usually you see these vet guys come in and they look a lot more poised. They just process a lot better. And Simeon just doesn't look experienced, which is interesting. That's something I've noticed over the last couple of weeks.
I agree. I think you guys are spot on with that. I seen something about they wish Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Yeah, he's looked good. Derek's losing his mind. He thinks he should be the starter in Cleveland already. He was saying the other day in our Bengals and Bruce group chat. Joe tried to tell me he's getting a little too far ahead of himself there, you know.
Yeah.
But he has. I would have loved to get him to Antoine that said that in the chat. And then Stetson Bennett, and Stetson went in like the third or fourth round. I thought that, you know, I know he's looked good and whatever at Georgia, but I don't personally even just like looking at his face. So I'm glad he's not on the team. He has a very punchable face to me. I'm sorry. I just don't want that on the team.
They all
I just
do.
don't want it. I do wish we could have a backup, though. We talked about that the other day. That just we felt comfortable that, hey, if they had to come in and play a fourth quarter to win a game, or, you know, Burrow's got a minor injury and they, you know, a game you wouldn't feel like, well, this is an automatic loss because we don't have Burrow. It just would be nice to have a guy that we felt like could do something. And out of the two, at least Browning can scramble. And that's what I've said. Like, give me a mobile guy. Give me somebody who can run a little bit. And at least Browning can do some of that a little more than Simeon. So I give him the edge. But, yeah, if I keep going back to like a Malik Willis. But now Will Levis is injured. Malik Willis is playing the entire game for the Titans tonight. He currently number 2 on their depth chart over Levis in Tennessee. But I would love to have Malik Willis for Jackson Carman. Trade straight up. Give me my quarterback 2 to develop with some legs on him, and he's got a cannon. He just doesn't. He throws a lot of interceptions. Yeah. And then Fiji here saying, Brandon, we got Brandon Allen. We got multiple Brandon Allens. Like, guys, we're just adding a third pile of dog shit is what I said earlier. Right now, the quarterback competition is 2 piles of dog shit. Yeah, Brandon Allen, you're in a third pile of dog shit. It's still
What's Ryan Finley doing?
Like, oh, man, sometimes a guy leaves and we're like, oh, well, I wish we had him. What did Brandon Allen do when he didn't do it. He sucked too. Yeah. Sorry, he did. Would you guys want Brandon Allen back over these 2 guys? Maybe you feel differently.
No, I mean, I think you made a great point. I think one of the most underrated traits of like a backup type quarterback is you want a guy that can keep things interesting. Maybe he's not going to run the exact same offense that, you know, Joe Burrow is running. Right. But if you can get a guy, especially a guy that's mobile and a guy that can still, you know, make some plays with his arm, like you're at least going to keep the game interesting. You're not going to be forced to just, you know, run the ball for an hour. So I think that's a great point that you made. Just when you're looking at a backup guy, you don't want like a Tom Brady as your backup. I mean, you want Tom Brady, but you don't want like a
you want Tom.
You don't want like a pocket passer, immobile guy that's just going to sit there because they're not going to dissect at the same level as a starter. You want a guy that can, you know, make some plays, make some stuff happen out of it.
Yeah, and that I'll let you go, Joe, but I think that's fair here. Fiji wanted to clarify. He doesn't want him back. He just could see the Bengals like bringing him back because neither guy's been that impressive.
Don't start backpedaling now. You already said what you said.
You said what you said, Fiji. You love Brandon Allen, and you have a tattoo of Brandon Allen's face on your butt.
Like Derek likes Drew Sample.
Yeah, Drew Sample. We'll get to him.
What these last 2 preseasons have made me really start thinking about is not that I'm, you know, projecting or breaking down next year's draft, but I think that could be a position of need if we pick up an extra draft pick and do a late round, you know, like we kept talking about punter. You know, this past draft, and that's exactly what happened. We picked up an extra draft pick, and I could see next year being like, hey, we can't keep on rolling through these dog shit backup plans because if Joe goes down, we're screwed. Like, we need someone that we can develop that's going to be our longer term backup, and that's going to be more reliable. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, but let's just protect Joe at all costs.
And they were interested this year. To be fair to the Bengals, they were interested in Dorian Thompson-Robinson. They brought him in for a visit. They put out a contract, all reports, to Cooper Rush from Dallas, and he re-signed in Dallas. It was a competitive offer that they made to him to be the backup.
Yeah,
So,
Cooper Rush would have been a great one.
Mm-hmm.
And then you wouldn't have had to worry about it, right? You signed him to like a 3-year deal, and you got a backup for Joe that you don't have to worry about this revolving door of guys. But they have like Jake Browning, so maybe it will be Browning. And like I said, he threw an awful interception, but I don't care. I honestly, even when he threw it, I was like, he's trying to force and make a play there because they're losing and it's the fourth quarter. And then he led that drive after that.
That play where he had to like do a spin move scramble. That's all because I'm sure you've watched it, Parker, is because Carmen got smoked.
Yeah.
Smoked on the right side. I'm just like, or the left side. Oh my God. He got beat so badly. I mean, Browning made the most of it, but
yeah, we're all right. Let's move on to running back because we're going to keep bringing in O-line talk. We just can't help but do it. I mean, especially
the best topic, bro. It's the best topic.
Well, and there's a lot of meat on that bone to talk about. But Chris Evans, I'm comparing it to like a toxic relationship. I just can't leave it. Like, that's what I feel like with Chris Evans. Rushing was terrible. Maybe that goes along with the O-line once again. 2 yards per carry. It was like 2 and 2.1, literally, for him and Chase Brown. So no run game right now.
Yep.
But Evans added 2 catches for 20 yards. I mean, literally right away, it was like he was lined up in the slot and got a catch for a first down. He's good when he plays out in the slot and that receiver. He makes plays constantly. And then he also had a really good kick return. So it's like, I just always see enough out of him. And there's some talk that maybe he is going to be the pass down guy because it's pass catching and they think he's blocking better. Yep. So do you guys have any thoughts? I mean, Chase Brown, I think he's going to be on the roster. Trayvion's injury, I think, is kind of pushing him down the depth chart right now, and that's no fault of his own. But that's kind of where things are at. And then what you guys, especially the thoughts on Chris Evans, because I just fall in love with him every preseason.
Yeah, I'll let Joe kick that one off.
Yeah, I'll start. I've never been more surprised at a guy turning around from the beginning of the offseason to now late offseason on Chris Evans. Like, I thought he was just dead in the water. He's getting cut when, it wasn't even beginning of the offseason. As soon as we took Chase Brown, I said, Chris Evans is gone. He has zero chance to make this team. And there was, I've said it a couple times on this show, but, there's been shots of different drills and OTAs where he's not following the directions on very basic drills, like go to the corner, make your cut. And he's the only one of the running backs that doesn't go to the cone. And it's just like stuff like that. And he gets a lot of preseason long runs that get called back because he's not following the play. So the linemen are out of position, so they have to hold. And he has looked a lot better. And all the real positive reports from a pass blocking perspective, like Dale already mentioned, and the receiving game, I'm like, shit, I think he might make it. Like, he might beat out Trayvion, which I would love to see him. I mean, he's shown flashes. I like Trayvion too, of course. It's nothing against him. But I would love for Chris Evans to just get out of his own way and put it all together, because I think that's been the biggest thing holding him back is just mental mistakes. We all know he's talented. Like, it's just these mental mistakes. But yeah, and then, like you said, nothing much else to add from like a rushing perspective because there was just nowhere to go. Parker, you have anything?
Yeah, I have a hard time with Evans because, I mean, really what we're looking at is what's Evans or Williams for RB3 is really what it comes down to. Because obviously Brown's going to make it. I think he looks better anyway. But like you said, Evans just has this like tendency to just do his own thing. And again, there's nothing wrong with being a creator, especially as a running back in the NFL. But you have to give the play a shot before you create. Like you
Right.
can't be running like inside zone to the left, grab the ball and go to the right sideline. It's
Right.
not. That's not how that works. It's never going to pan out well. Even if you make the big run, like you said, we're going to get holding calls. It's going to come back.
Yep.
Right. And I think what it's going to end up coming down to is, do they value the explosiveness that he has to offer, or maybe even as a returner? I mean, maybe we can talk about that later, but. Or do they value kind of what Williams can bring, and he's going to do his job? They know he's going to be consistent. They know what they're going to get out of him, and he's better as a pass blocker. So
also, he took over the kick return last year when Evans went in the doghouse too.
Correct.
So Travion has
if,
done that
if
role.
it comes down to like they can both return at a similar level, and it's like, oh, well, we don't really need the explosiveness. We're getting that out of these new receivers. Maybe Irv's providing more than they anticipated. Then it's like, why would we not go with Travion? Because we know he can block better. We know he can. We know what he's going to do when we try to run the ball with him. So
I still think there is a place for all four potentially if they trust Chris enough, like you guys said. I agree with that. That's always been the issue, that they could keep four. But then you're going light at either wide receiver. Well, it's not light at wide receiver, but going 6 instead of 7, where potentially is Stanley Morgan, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
Doesn't make him. They love him on special teams. Or do you go with 9 O-linemen instead of 10, which we'll also talk about in a minute. I think that's what the roster battles for the offensive side are going to come down to, is those spots. 6 or 7 receivers, 3 or 4 running. I think they're only keeping 3 tight ends. I think they're going to have a tough time picking the 3 tight ends because none of them stand out beyond Irv Smith to me. But
that's why I think it is 3, because no one's really separated themselves in that.
Yeah,
group.
it could be. It's just Evans shows the flashes, and we'll see. But
yeah, I think Chris Evans just has to, outside of the preseason games, he's got to be consistent in practice, and he's got to stop with the bonehead mental mistakes. And I think the job is his. If he can do that, I think he's going to win it. But he's been in the doghouse a lot. So
every time we think it's his time, right? He'll go out and he'll even catch a touchdown, and then he don't play again for 4 weeks, because it's like, well, he also during that game did this or this that completely fucked something up.
Yep.
And the coaches it drives them crazy, clearly. Moving on to wide receivers. Greg is now 1 short of winning the bet for a stadium beer, inside the game beer. And you notice that those taste better because they cost $10. So I said 10 catches overall for Yoshi. The over-under is 9.5. He gets 10. Greg wins. He's at 9. So he's right knocking on the door. One of those was for a loss yesterday, by the way. I feel like that catch shouldn't count, but it counts.
It's still a catch. It's still a catch.
For the record, we didn't have nothing about positive yardage catches, so it counts. 5 catches, 44 yards. I mean, the guy's 6'3". He's got good speed. I think he's everything you want in a receiver. I don't know how much he plays this year because Trenton Irwin's also played well.
Yep.
Chuck Sizzle. Chuck Sizzle is heating up, was my dad joke last night. Chuck Sizzle is heating up. 4 catches, 36 yards. I didn't think he looked good week 1. It was a guy that we were like, he needs to show something, please. We know he's talented. He's either too injured with that torn labrum or whatever, and he needs to stay out, or he needs to show something. And he showed something. I think he ran good routes. He made some tough catches. He made 3rd down catch. So he showed. And then also at receiver to me was Shedrick Jackson, baby, with a little breakout game. Bo Jackson's nephew from Auburn. 4 catches, 42 yards. Not gonna make the roster. We've already got a deep battle going on there. But perfect guy you want to get to the practice squad, has all the tools. Allegedly, he ran a 4.2 something 40 at the Auburn Pro Day or somewhere.
Damn.
So that was like, with those traits and skills, even if it's not 4.2 and it's in the 4.3s, hey, that's phenomenal. And he made catch after catch, and he looked pretty solid. So anybody at receiver that stood out to you guys, anybody you guys want to talk about? And then ultimately, does Stanley Morgan make it as a 7th guy? Because I don't see Yoshi going anywhere. I think he solidified the 6th spot.
Parker, I'll let you start.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, first off, it's good to see. I mean, it's hard to call it a bounce back, but it's good to see the bounce back from Chuck Sizzle. Everyone came into week 1 and was kind of like, after he'd shown some great stuff in practices, and it's good to see him, starting to produce more on Friday or yesterday. And then I think Yossi Vosh, big body and some guys, and really using that body and using matchups to maximize his production has been great. I mean, he's done a great job. And if you take away, there was that stat after week 1, when you drop it down to catchable targets opposed to just overall targets. I mean, he made a crazy number of catches, and then if he catches that touchdown week 1, he's 5 for 6 of catchable targets. So I mean, he's been a really reliable guy. He's doing a lot of good things. I've always been a big fan of Stanley Morgan, fullback.
I think we all are. To be fair,
Like,
I don't want to knock Stanley. He's great, great blocker, great special teams guy. Yeah,
and that's where it's going to start getting hard with some of these guys, especially these guys that have been in the system for a while. Where do we want to keep you around just as a role player, or can we replace that well enough, or are you not really producing anything, outside of just that smaller role that we can, justify keeping you around for? What's these conversations are going to come down to? So I don't know, the wide receiver battle is hard because there's just they have a lot of talent in that room right now. So
yeah. I would have predicted the opposite for Josivas and Chuck Sizzle as far as how the off seasons have gone. I thought Josivas would be a lot slower starting out, and Chuck Sizzle would be rock solid. I've been really, really impressed with Josivas. Like, he's looking like he might have been a steal.
Yeah.
I knew that he was a great athlete. That was clear, but he was in the Ivy League, and we knew the competition wasn't great. So it's just like, it's going to take him time to catch up to playing at an NFL level, but he has looked great so far. I think he has solidified his spot on the team. Shedrick Jackson, I think a lot would have to break for him to make the 53 or some sort of injury. Go ahead.
I think both of those guys are practice squad, Antoine,
yes.
just as Joe's mentioning Jackson.
Yes, I agree. We fell in love with Kwame Laster and Kendrick Pryor last year. They've looked very good, but they're still very raw, and we always have to take with a grain of salt these preseason games when we're playing against second, third string guys or guys that aren't even going to make the team. I never get too excited about big preseason performances because it's not just that counts as far as the total evaluation process.
Well, I mean, I do think, though, right now, I think Jackson, he showed something last night, though.
He did.
Maybe potentially overlap, but I think with these expanded practice squads, you've got room for both guys on the practice squad.
Yep, I agree.
Anything else with the receivers before we move on to tight end?
I just think we're excited that we have Chuck Sizzle to replace, filling that slot role. And now I think Yossi Vosh has shown that he can be that outside guy. So really they got.
Do you want to have the conversation, Parker, about being an outside guy? Do you pay T $25 million per year when you know you got to pay Jamar and there's only so much money to go around? Or do you want to have this one?
I think that's where the money goes, man. I'm a big T guy. Everyone loves Jamar. I mean, they're staying. I don't know why he would break up the band. Doesn't make any sense, especially in the AFC when they're competing for the AFC.
I think Yoshi more likely is going to fill the Trenton Irwin role after this season, personally, because I think Trenton, he just looks good every time, and he makes plays. 4 touchdowns last year. We touched on this yesterday. Yep. I think if Trenton just has another solid season, somebody's going to sign him to be a 2 or 3 on their team after this season. He's going to get a little bit of a nice payday. It might not be huge, but it might be more than he's ever made. Somebody might say, hey, we'll give you 3 years, $15 million or something. Hey, okay, I'll take that over basically vet minimum he's been making. And then I think Yoshi fills that spot. And I think that's how it's looking for both sides there. But I'm with you, man. I want the T deal. It needs to get done is the problem. Like, I think the farther it goes, the more stressed I get about it because of the agent and because the same agent as Jesse Bates. And then if you go to franchise tagging him after this season, then you're going down the same route. So that's my only concern. But I do ultimately still think the T deal gets done. But I said if it doesn't get done by week 1, my opinion's likely going to change that they plan on signing him or that it gets done.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited about Yosivas. I am not ready to say that he is ready to be the starting outside guy. I would be scared shitless if that was our plan.
T is special. Jamar went down and T took over.
Yep.
Yoshi is not going to take over a game like T was able to take over games.
Not
Plain
yet.
and
He's
simple.
still TBD.
We don't make the Super Bowl without both Jamar and T. We don't make the AFC
100%.
Championship game last year without both of them. I am fully on board. Some people talk about the money and the pieces of the pie, as Mike Brown says.
Right.
So how does the pieces of the pie fit? But I'm really hoping that both T and Jamar are here for a long, long time.
Hey, we just got to cross our fingers that the reason the Burrow contract's taking so long is because he's holding out for T. That's what I keep telling myself every night. So
I just think it's little things. I think it's the structure of the deal type stuff. I mean, Justin Herbert shouldn't have taken as long as it did because he hasn't done near what Joe's done, leading a team-wise to the places that he's led them. Mm-hmm. And he was still one of the last before Joe. So I think quarterback contracts, it'll get done. It'll get done. I'm not going to worry about Joe. T's the one. I just want it to get done. Please get done. Get it done. Tight end. Concussed was Tanner Hudson, and that sucks because he looked really good the week before, and I don't know what that's going to mean because I'm sure they want to see a little more out of him, and how long does that linger? Hopefully we see him back out of practice, and we see him a little bit in week 3, and he makes a few catches, and they say, bam, roster spot locked, because I really like Tanner Hudson. Drew Sample, and this is for Grip Keeper. I'm calling it now, Grip. Drew Sample is tight end number 2. Not only is he tight end number 2, this is for the Bengals. This isn't. I wouldn't have him as tight end number 2 for the record, but he's going to catch the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. Calling it now. Drew Sample is catching.
Is Derek in your headset or something?
No, it's just what's going to happen because everyone knows how I personally feel, so it's just destined to happen. I just can see it. Now, Ossie, I think he had like one catch. Maybe you can speak on his blocking, Parker, a little bit more, but I have just not seen enough out of that guy that I would rather have Hudson because Irv Smith can catch passes as our number 1 guy. That's not going to be Drew Sample. It's not going to be Ossie. If Irv Smith has to miss a game or 2, give me Tanner Hudson who can fill in and have a little bit of production offensively. So what's you guys' overall thoughts on tight end and how great is Drew Sample?
Yeah, Ossie has struggled in the run game, and then if he's not producing in the pass game,
he never does. He never does produce in the pass game.
Like when we first brought him on, I was like, oh well, he's a good run game guy. He's gonna be a good blocker. He's not gonna be a high production guy, but he's just gonna help us get the ball in when we're in the red zone or we're in the short yardage situations. And he has struggled, and it's hurt to watch at times. And so I'm having a harder and harder time rooting.
I like this. For the podcast listeners, Ossie is assy. He gone. That was good, Antoine.
But yeah, I just he's not producing on like either side of the coin right now, so I don't know how he finds a spot unless he really flashes. But yeah, I think he's kind of off the radar at this point. And then Sample's making it, Irv's making it. I love Hudson, so I mean, I'm all in. That's my 3. I think they only keep 3 just because, like we talked about earlier, they're not really getting a lot of production out of any of them. Really, no one's really flashing. No one's really separating themselves in a positive way. It's really just been Ossie separating himself in a negative way. So
and if they do go 4, I think that'll be a tough decision when Wilcox is ready to go, maybe after 6 weeks on PUP.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Joe, on tight end?
I don't have much to add. I think all have been fairly underwhelming. I have like what I've seen from Hudson. I'd be surprised if a concussion would cost him a spot unless it's really prolonged.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think Ossie is probably the odd man out there, but don't have too much more to add.
And why the people are all here to listen to the O-line guru. We are going to get into O-line now. Our starters, Brown, Volson, Karras, Kappa, and Jonah Williams. I don't think that's in debate anymore. And I want Parker to take his fucking victory lap. because he has wanted Jonah Williams at right tackle.
It wasn't a want. I knew he was going to be there, Dale. I knew he was going to be there. Never a doubt.
And you knew he could play it well. You thought he would fit well. You've said that. You've said that on this show multiple times. And so I am we'll just start with Jonah, and then we'll get into a lot more. So how did you think Jonah played? Because he's the only starter that played some, and he was playing at right tackle in his first game action in the NFL at right tackle.
Yeah, so I went through to watch. So I watched the game last night, just kind of like half awake after our game, just to kind of get a vibe for how everything was going. And then I did my broadcast rewatch where I took all those clips, like I do every week. And I actually had to go back a third time just to watch Jonah because he didn't really show up, which honestly isn't bad for a guy in a new spot because he might not have been flashing, but he wasn't like making any egregious errors. He wasn't, blowing assignments. He was just doing his job. And I was more interested in watching these other guys. Honestly, after the first drive, I forgot he was in there, and I was just focusing on some of these other guys that were, crapping their pants or missing jobs and whatever.
There was a lot of that.
I had to go back and watch Jonah just specifically to really get a feel because I knew people were going to be asking me about him. So I think he did a great job. I think he did his job. He didn't really go above and beyond, but I think it was more. You're not going to see that out of a starter, especially when he's the only guy out there that's a starter because he's just trying to knock the rust off, work in that new spot, really, feel better about where he's at. So I think he did a great job for a preseason game.
So with that kind of switch, going from left to right, what is the biggest adjustment that he's going through, and are his, I guess, any downfalls that you're seeing, do you see them directly tied to just switching positions? I don't know if that question made sense. But
no, yeah, you're good. No, so the biggest things that I was watching for, because what I expect, when we're switching from tackle to tackle is, getting to your spot in pass protection. So it's just one of those things from left to right where when you're working the left all the time, you kind of get used to where that spot is, where you're trying to beat the edge rusher too, and just kind of working and getting familiar with how that feels and getting there on your right side. And I think that looked fine. I was also worried, and this is going to sound dumb, but when you're on the left, your inside hand's obviously your right hand. And if you're right-handed, your right hand, your dominant hand, you're going to have a stronger punch. Right. So him being, getting beat inside a lot last year, I was watching to see, was he going to have a good punch? Is he going to favor that left side and kind of be a little late going outside so he can protect the inside a little better? And honestly, I thought, play strength-wise, and especially with that inside hand that I was paying attention for, I think he looked fine. Honestly, like everyone's been saying, it looked pretty seamless to me. I didn't see it. People are going to hate to hear that, but I didn't see much difference from technically what I saw last year from him to what he was doing in the preseason game. And honestly, it looked like he was processing really well, and it looked like he was slow playing it and being really patient. And that's something that I think he kind of got sped up a lot last year, facing all these good rushers that he did, as he does in the division. And it was good to see him kind of get in that preseason environment against the Falcons, even if it was their ones or whoever was out there. He was kind of taking a little slower and making sure he felt right, making sure everything, was lining up. And so that was the two big things I looked for. I think the run game is it is what it is. Switching sides, I don't think it changes dramatically. I mean, your stance changes, obviously, but you work both sides out of your left tackle stance. You're going to work both sides out of your right tackle stance. It's not a dramatic change. So mostly I was looking for just kind of his pass pro technique and if there was a drop off. And like I said, it looked pretty smooth. So also, I'm frustrated that they have LC at tackle, Antoine.
They do.
And he's an 81. Why is LC an 81 and Jonah's like a low 70? Like, how does that even make sense? How does that even make sense? So do you
adjust the ratings to what you think they should be? And
I should. But yeah,
or do you
LC is the starter in Madden. So if everyone, that's the Bible. So that's what they're rolling out week 1.
I was going to save this question, but you kind of alluded to it where you said, Jonah went up against a lot of elite pass rushers last year. When you're doing your scores and evaluations week by week, I don't think you do, but have you thought about weighting a performance based on the competition? Which might be hard to do because, there's not always the same guy lining
Joe, you're
up.
trying to make him do impossible stuff.
I know, but I was just thinking, like, is it fair to, knock Jonah if he's going up against, freaking Myles Garrett, a billion times versus going against a second stringer on the Texans or something? Those aren't like for like at all. I don't know if there is a way to, but that was just something I was thinking about.
Yeah, so when I first started doing my evaluation system, my goal was to get a more accurate, like holistic view of how someone was doing. So it was like every rep, I'm like, I'll grade offense and defense, and then as we get through games, we'll see how these guys are rated. And then I was like, I don't have time to watch all these freaking defensive players from every team we're playing. It's already taken me 2+ hours to go through film. So I'm like, oh, let's use their PFF grade. But then it was like, it's changing every rep, and maybe he's lining up against this guy, but he's actually blocking this guy. And I think it just ended up being a lot. And I think that'd be the dream, is to, grade all your D-line, grade all your O-line, and then grade each other and have that, weighted. How many reps am I getting against so-and-so? How am I executing against so-and-so? And that's where I kind of tune my grading system, my evaluation system to be more like I do for my kids that I coach, right? Where I'm grading execution. I'm not grading, was it an awesome block? Was it technically sound? Was it XYZ? I'm just, hey, this is what I deemed your job to be on this play. Did you execute it? At what level did you execute it? So that's kind of what my evaluation process is. As much as I did try, I will say I did attempt to do, a more accurate, hey, you're going against this player. This player is doing this to everybody else. How are you doing?
And that's fair. And I think that makes sense with you being a coach. It's like, it doesn't matter who you're going up against. Your job is always the same. And I think that's a great mindset for a player to be in.
My connection's starting to get bad. So
yes.
I may cut out. I might restart here, but I wanted to get this in. What did you have on that, Parker?
And so I'm actually for this whole conversation is the reason. So I'm doing my own stat tracking for the Bengals O-line this year. I'm actually doing it for my kids too, just so I can get more experience doing it and getting familiar with how that goes and what that looks like. But I haven't gone. I mean, I've gone back and watched them all. I've watched them all in the first place. I have in my notes, if I go back to my evaluation, I have my notes up on Twitter, all season, so people can go see. Because when I evaluate, I score everybody, and everybody that doesn't just get a 1, which is just doing your job. I put a note in there for why I changed the grade from a 1. And there was a few sacks that I had labeled as, this is so and so, or this guy. This will get. I always put this will get credited to Jonah, but this is actually the fault of this person.
Right.
So I have heard a lot of people say that it is around 8, anywhere from 6 to 10-ish is what I've heard, mostly 7 and 8. So I can't say that number's wrong. But I mean, the official number was like 12 or 13. So
yeah, I was always under the opinion that Jonah gets a lot of hate because when he gets beat, it looks really bad.
Yeah.
And he's spinning around in circles and stuff like that. But that's not every rep. It just it really sticks out like a sore thumb when he does get bad beat. But moving on from Jonah, man, Carmen and Ford are concerning to make the squad. I haven't seen really anything good. Whenever I see Carmen, I'm like, dude, it's awful. What is your take? Is there any silver lining with Carmen or Ford that I'm missing?
So starting with Carmen, because everyone knows where I'm at with Carmen. I was actually talking to some people today about how it's funny because he looked so much better at left tackle, and so you had these people popping out like, oh, he looked good. He was yada yada yada. Now he's back on the left side, and I'm like, well, he probably only looks good because now he's actually trying because he's playing the position he wants to play. So you can't just say, oh, he's a better left tackle than right tackle because he looks better at left tackle when he's given negative effort on the right side and given 150% on the left side. So I'll leave that right there. Everyone else knows my takes on Jackson. I think he struggles. His feet are rough. He's got concrete shoes, and I don't think that's going to change. I got really excited those early clips from camp and from OTAs and where he was, his feet looked like he's moving really well, and then he just gets in games and he makes contact and they die. And so you can't do anything with that around the edge. I still think his best potential, like Jonah, would be at guard, but he doesn't want to play it, so I don't think we're going to get a great effort out of him, that's just a him thing. Yep. But then, I don't know if you keep that. If you have other guys that have more versatility than a guy that's trying to pigeonhole himself into a position. And we'll see how that goes for his career.
Yeah, before you move on to Ford, I mean, overall, do you think Carmen's issues are just more mental? Because you talked a little bit about effort. Is it just mental and just inconsistent effort? And what is it in a nutshell with Carmen that he's been struggling?
Yeah, and I don't know him personally, so I don't.
Sure.
I mean, I can't speak to anything like that specifically, but it's more like I think it's a great example of he tried to get ahead of the curve, and it's going to end up biting him in the butt. Because you have guys like Orlando Brown who are like, "No, I'm playing left tackle." You have a guy like Jonah that I don't know if he was stuck to left tackle, but he wanted to play left tackle. It's very financially based in the league, but those are both proven guys in the league. They played multiple years. They have a record. They have good film that they can put out there and try and push for that. And then you have Jackson Carman coming in where I almost wonder, I don't know if it's a comfort thing. I don't know if it's a, nope, this is what I want to play. This is where my highest earning potential is. I want to just push it. I'll land somewhere. But it just feels like he wants to be that left tackle. And I don't think the Bengals, the way they're going, especially with their depth guys, they want versatility. We've talked about that multiple times. I've
100%.
talked about that all offseason. So if he's going to pigeonhole himself into one spot, he's going to pigeonhole himself into a different team. So
for sure. Dale, we just spent the last few minutes bashing Jackson Carman. Did you want to jump in?
Well, I don't know what all was said, but I put out a tweet yesterday. Deontay Smith and Akeem Adeniji. Am I crazy that they should make it over Carman and Ford? Parker, what are your thoughts on that? And if I start cutting out again, guys, like usually it'll show me that it's low. If I restart,
you're good
again,
right
that's
now.
what's happening. Okay, I called 2 weeks ago and it was fixed, and I don't know.
You got to send in a very strongly worded email, though.
Fuck you, Spectrum. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that? And Adeniji, I don't know. How has he played to you? Because I mean, even if, and this is another thing about keeping 9 or 10, because Sharping and Trey Hill to me are showing versatility that there's your two inside backups right there. And to me, that's 7 solid players. I think Deontay Smith has earned a spot being 8. And then who should be on it after that, honestly?
Well, I mean, so to transition, the Deontay Smith, Adeniji, Ford conversation, like I said from when they picked him up, Ford's not a tackle. And I think this week was a great opportunity to see that because I think he's shown flashes at guard. He's shown that he can do some good things at guard. I think he struggles in the run game, but that's kind of a problem as an interior lineman. But I think he shows a lot of potential there. I mean, if he was like a rookie or a second, third year guy, I'd be really excited for him. And he is not. So
He's not.
Yeah, so weight that as you will. But I think he's shown good things at guard. And I actually put a tweet out today, one of my clips, and I was like, because they let Ford play some tackle this weekend, it was abysmal in my opinion.
It looked just from me, and I don't break down O-line play, but for my eye test, he failed miserably. Yeah,
it just showed. And it was a great example of why I said from the beginning that he's a guard, because he doesn't have the athleticism, he doesn't have the quickness, he doesn't have the lateral movement ability. He has all these negatives that aren't as important as a guard that are very important as a tackle. And so I think the Bengals probably just did that to be like, he was probably saying, hey, I came here as a tackle. You said I was going to play tackle. And they're like, okay, we'll let you go play tackle. And then I can't imagine the conversation in film after, or even on the sideline after, was like, oh, do you still want to play tackle or you want to play guard? So, I mean, that's how it felt to me.
You want to work at Walmart, or you want to potentially be on an NFL team?
You want to play guard, or you want to go find a job at a drive-thru? That's up to you, buddy. I mean, we can play at tackle, but we'll see how that goes.
And maybe I do think I'm not saying that that's his only options. And just for the record, I want to say that.
But I do think the Smith and Adeniji battle has been really fun. That's been one I've been watching a lot, because those are two guys that I've really been a fan of. And everyone knows that I like Adeniji, and everyone in this fan base feels like, besides the select few of us that are sympathizers, hate Adeniji. And I think Adeniji's shown a lot of versatility. He's essentially a 4-position guy at this point. I haven't seen him snap, but he doesn't really need to, because he can be a good swing tackle. He's played guard. I know everyone hated him at guard, but he can do it if he needs to. He's a very versatile piece, and I think he's looked really good. I think he looked good last year in regular season games. I think he looks good every time he gets an opportunity. He struggles at times, but it is what it is. I mean, everyone's going to struggle. It's the NFL.
Yep.
But Deontay Smith's a guy that I've been a very big fan of for a long time.
Trades, dude. Trades have all been there.
Yep.
Like coming out of East Carolina. Is it East Carolina?
Yes.
I'm not wrong on that, am I?
Don't quote me on that, but I think it is.
Yeah, the Pirates.
The Pirates. But everyone knows his big issue has been health. And I've said for a couple of years now, like, if he could get healthy, I think he's better than Adeniji because he's got a better profile. He's a lot more well-rounded than Adeniji. And you can see that in film. I know people complain about his play strength after week 1. But he shows a lot of good things. I mean, you're going to lose a couple battles here and there. And I think overall he's stronger than Adeniji. I think Adeniji's more balanced, like from a actual balance perspective. But I think Deontay Smith's a more overall well-rounded player, and that's why I like him more than Adeniji. But again, with the health thing, I honestly would put Adeniji higher on the list than Deontay Smith until he can prove that he's healthy. But I'm not afraid to call up Smith in any situation or even let him battle for that spot throughout the season.
So would you keep those two guys and cut Carman and cut Ford if they keep 9?
I think I would because again, Carman is a left tackle. That's all you're going to get the best out of him at left tackle. You can't put him anywhere else. So that's one position. You got Ford, who's a guard tackle, versatile guy allegedly, but he's not really a tackle. He's just kind of a guard. Maybe he can play both guards. They've only played him on the right side, so can't speak to that. But really, you got 2 guys that can play a total of like 2.5 positions. And then you got Deontay Smith and Adeniji. Deontay Smith's been working swing tackle, looked great as a swing tackle week 1, looked solid as a tackle this week. And then you have Adeniji, who has been a swing tackle previously, has played guard previously. So essentially, do you want to take 2.5 positions or 5 positions?
Adeniji looked really good in the extra tackle role when they would bring in a 6th lineman as well last year before he had to do that. So that's another feather in his cap for making the team, I think. And I know everybody. He had in the Super Bowl and this, and then he struck. And I get it. I totally get it. Coming in, I said, Adeniji, he can't be on this roster, like a lot of other people said. There's bad O-line play around the league, everyone. You tell me who you're going to get because there's not going to be somebody cut, honestly, that is better because they're not going to get cut if they're better.
If you let Adeniji go, he's going to get picked up by a team, and he's going to be at worst the 6th guy on that team.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, Carman, okay, if it comes down to 10 then, is it between Carman and Ford? Because if we're saying we're keeping Adeniji, we're keeping Smith, we're keeping Sharping, and we're keeping Trey Hill as our 4 main backups. That's 9. Now, sometimes they keep 9, sometimes they keep 10. They've done both. Mm-hmm. If they keep 10, who would you keep between Carman and Ford, or is there somebody else on this roster that you think deserves to be in that conversation?
Well, out of the 2 of them, I think it's Ford because, again, he's at least 1.5 position flexible. He's willing to play tackle, and that's more than Carman's willing to play right tackle. So Ford's shown promise at right guard. I wouldn't be afraid to put him in, if Kappa goes down again, put him in between Karras and Williams. I think he'd be just fine because, we've talked about before where the talent around you all raises your floor. So, I mean, if you're putting him in there, I think he does fine. I'm not really as worried about him as at a guard spot if we need him in an emergency. That's really that 10th guy. That's what that role is. But like everyone's been saying, I'm a big Ben Brown truther.
Yeah.
I love
Ole Miss,
Brown.
Man. I remember it's my guy Dane Brugler had him as like a 4th round prospect.
Yeah,
I like him too.
I put out an article about him before he got hurt. About how he got hurt last year. He was hurt in college, and then he kind of flew under the radar where everyone coming into this year was talking about all these other battles. And I was like, hey, don't forget about Ben Brown. He's coming back. We still need this backup center battle. That was back when I was kind of low on Sharping after I was high on him going after his first start last year or first appearance.
I think Sharping's a good guard.
Yeah.
Like a good left guard especially.
Yeah.
And he seems a lot better in run blocking than pass
But the
protection.
fact he's able to play center now is what raises Sharping's position importance,
I think he earned himself a roster spot by showing that he could be a competent center.
And does Trey Hill look better at guard, or am I crazy?
You're crazy.
He looks better than center?
No.
He's bad at both?
No, so when I actually talked about this where Trey Hill and Max Sharping, obviously they flip-flopped after the first quarter. and they both looked better at guard than center, which obviously, I mean, it's an easier position to play than center. But
Well,
I think,
that's what I was saying.
no, I know. I was just giving you shit, Dale. You know, you can laugh every now and then.
I didn't know if Trey Hill looked. I was like, to me, he looks better at guard than center. He also looks thinner this year.
He does look not really small. He does look a lot smaller than he did last year, but he moves a lot better. But he also, you kind of see that pop up because he's getting. I posted a clip today where he got blown off the ball like 7-8 yards on a run play, and I was like, "Ooh, that's not good."
Was he at center?
No, he was a guard. But yeah, no, they both look better at guard than center, and that's where I think I'm high on Ben Brown because I think he looks better at center than guard. And don't sleep on Gilliam either. I think he's shown a lot of good things on the interior. I think Gilliam and Brown are really the best backup options for that center position, but I think they're looking for versatility. So that kind of knocks Gilliam because they haven't really been using him at guard. Not that he can't do it, but they just haven't put him there. I don't think he's in that battle. I think he's a practice squad guy.
Yeah.
Just because it's a crowded room right now.
Yeah.
Basically, whoever would make the 10 spot if they do 10 should be booted out when Collins is healthy enough to play, correct? And do you think they keep Collins in his salary still? Because I know that's been you still got to, are they going to pay a guy, whatever it is, it's like a base of what, $4.5 to $5 million. Are they going to pay a guy that to be a backup if Jonah's playing well enough that they don't think Collins is going to fill that spot at that point?
Yeah, I think Collins is good because again, he's a position versatile guy where he can play guard and tackle. I think he's better guard than a tackle, and I think he's a fine tackle when he's healthy. So I mean, once he comes back, you're booting that 10th guy, and that's why I say I think they keep 9 and then just add the 10th guy later in because I mean, don't think about last year. I mean, there was
an injury happens or whatever. That's how I think it plays out too. I would keep 9. I'm with you.
Because they got down to like 48 guys on the roster at a couple points last year. Like they just didn't care. They didn't bring anybody on. They didn't pull anybody up. They're just like, it is what it is.
Well, they only keep 8 active on game day. Like that's like consistent. I feel like they only have 8 active on game day. So what's the point of always having 10 on the roster if your 10th is complete ass like a Carmen or? So Carmen's gone, right? Like a lot of people still have him maybe making the roster just because he is a 2nd round pick. Do you think that he has any trade value even?
Well, that's why I think they're trying to put him out there playing both tackle spots. I don't think they care about helping themselves anymore because they have Smith and Adeniji who's shown a lot of good. That's where I think they're more putting him out there like, hey, you should probably put some film out there.
Yeah.
Try and help us out a little bit. Let's get some value out of you. Let's try and Billy Price you,
Yeah, I just don't even know because it's almost like the more he plays, the film in theory, like the theory of it sounds good, and then it's like we're gonna play him, we're gonna showcase him, but the
practicality is not there.
Jake Browning's best play is Jackson Carbon's worst play.
I mean, Jackson Carmen had some good plays. I'm like, he's not a garbage player, but I mean, he's not. I don't really. This team's elevated itself, and that's what again. I think he could have some value for some of these guys. I mean, it's an O-line hungry, it's an offensive tackle hungry league. So he's got value for somebody.
Yeah, left tackle. It's going to be strictly at left tackle, and even then, he's just not consistent at all is the problem. Antoine here, off topic, but back to like tight ends. And if Chop was here, especially, he would be heartbroken right now to have to deal with this. Darnell Washington, his love from Georgia at tight end. He's causing some problems, but he's a big old boy.
He is.
We'll see how he does in regular season.
To see if he can stay healthy. Some of those bigger guys, that's big worries about Kuntz. I saw he got brought up earlier. So,
yeah, the fact that he fell, he has to have some medical red flags. Like he
had some coming in, and he's big and he's lean and doesn't really have a lot of mass on him. Darnell Washington's a big boy, so I mean he can take some hits, but he's going to be harder on his body as he moves. So.
Yeah. We're gonna flip it now to the defense. We may get back to O-line because we know Parker, he may not be able to help himself and just have to talk O-line at some point.
Well, now you're going to defense. I'll get out of here. You guys have a great time.
You're not going anywhere, Parker. We locked it, so you can't leave.
Santori, we could probably get you a link if you wanted to come in, and you could just stare at his beard and while you're on here.
I was so raggedy today, man. I did not get ready today, and I need a shave in a bad way.
So defense, we actually saw some starters, unlike the offense. I mean, we saw Jonah, but starters played a series. Atlanta was driving right down the field, even though they had like 73 penalties, I said.
That was impressive that they made it that far with like 30 yards and penalties in 4 plays.
Yeah, they just kept getting in their own way. But it ended with an interception. Like we've seen a lot with loose defenses. You bend, you don't break, and you end up making a play or you hold a team to a field goal. It happened time after time after time through these last couple of years. Cam Sample tipped the pass. Hilton got in there. The fucking Falcons broadcast driving me crazy that I had to listen to.
Yeah.
That was awful, by the way. And then Osai, baby. Joseph Osai got an interception in preseason. You love to see it. And then my other thoughts from the starters was just, and we'll break down each position, but this was just kind of that first series or two. Cam Taylor had 3 tackles in like one series. Like the man is just a tackling machine, and he's great in coverage.
Yep.
I really think he's going to be a Pro Bowler sooner rather than later. So anything that stood out to you on that first drive, I'm not going to make a big deal that they marched down the field. I will say one thought I had was the miscommunication almost, where it seemed like we didn't know what was going on, getting lined up and this and that a little bit on that drive. I know it's preseason. I'm not stressing about it. Just pointing out what I saw.
Yep.
I wonder if Bell and Bates' absence is going to be a little more than I hoped it would be early in the season, because I do think that those guys help get everybody in place. I thought Logan would do that more, but Lou likes his secondary to do it, and that's a very young and new secondary at safety if that's the case. So what were just your thoughts of the starters, guys?
Yeah, I had a note down that just looked disoriented at times, and yeah, so I think there's a possibility that they could start off slow. I agree with you, Dale. Like, it's freaking preseason. You know, I'm not putting a ton of weight into it, but it's a lot of new faces, and these guys are still working to gel together, and that's what this offseason and preseason are for. But overall, I mean, I was really encouraged. I thought the guys who looked good, I expected them to, and there's nobody I'm rooting for more than Joseph Osai after last season ending. I was so happy for him. It's just like, yes, like that is just going to be, just from a mental perspective, just that's got to be such a lift in his self-esteem and going into the regular season. So happy for him.
I have to agree with Antoine's point here too. Falcons looked like they game planned. They did a lot of play action with Ritter and getting him on the move, which I thought was smart by them. And it looked like we just come out vanilla-ass defense because, hey, we just don't give a shit because it's preseason. So definitely not worried overall as well. What were your thoughts, Parker?
Yeah, no, I think I agree. I mean, it's like you both said, they look a little disorganized, but I almost wonder, like, that's one of the big things why people are, I think, harping on the whole, get your starters in the preseason, let them knock the rust off, let them, get those live reps and, see how that goes. And that's where I think I don't disagree with that point, because I wouldn't be surprised if those starters came out and it was more just, we're going our base stuff. We're going to get on the field. We're going to get everybody organized, get these guys used to, organizing the defense, calling plays and shifting stuff around. So I wouldn't be surprised if they really just came in, they didn't care. And they were just like, hey, we're going to get out there. We're going to run our base stuff. We don't really care what the Falcons are doing. We care what the Browns are doing. So we're just going to go out there, get our reps in, get used to being around each other, get used to playing with each other, and then move on. So that's kind of, those are my only takeaways. Antoine stole my thunder, so, I'll give that to him. But no, it was – I think they were fine, though. I think they looked good. They still made plays. They were still out there running around. And I think, honestly, after having the starters out there, I think the depth guys really came out. They played with a different energy, it felt like.
They did.
Yeah, I agree. I like Krebs' comment, too. Not to go back to the line for too long, but for the podcast listeners, I think Jackson Carman couldn't block somebody from Twitter. That's pretty fucking funny.
Hey, you got a lot of athletes on Twitter,
I heard they're taking away that functionality. Did you guys hear that? To block someone on Twitter?
Just can't block them, so you can say whatever you want.
You can only mute. You can only mute it, and you can block DMs.
Yeah.
Santori wants me to eat ice cream off of him. Well, that sounds like a good time to me.
Oh, God.
And Ronald Best here. I like DJ how he play. We'll get there.
Yeah,
We're going in order. D-line linebacker. We are getting to the corners. So if you got time to stay tuned. If not, you can always check us out on YouTube. At any time, you can go back and watch any of our old episodes. We have old episodes with people like Ted Karras, Clark Harris, Brad Robbins.
Shane
I mean,
Graham.
we have been fortunate. Shane Graham, we've been fortunate to interview some awesome people. Dan Horde, like, just I don't know why or how, but we are very thankful for that, by the way.
For sure.
Even yesterday, Matt Hamilton from FanDuel TV that works with
I
Kay
know.
Adams on a daily basis. And then Kay Adams, oh my God, did you guys see that Kay Adams
Yes.
was like, how did my guy,
Yes.
she retweeted?
You're big time now. You're big time now.
No, I wouldn't say we're
Dude,
big
I
time
was-
because we still make $0 million. But
I was so
That's
sad
Kay
I
Adams.
missed that show.
I was like, well, I can retire now. I can retire from my actual job and do this full time. Yeah. No,
Let's go.
that would be great. But anyways, D-line. Dominic Davis continues to impress. I don't know if he has a roster spot because of Josh Tupou, and he has 27 or 28, but good Lord, let me get him to the practice squad again, because if there's any injuries, I would feel very comfortable with Dominic Davis having to rotate in and get some snaps in live action. The man is just a little meatball, and I love him to death. So he had another 5 tackles last night after putting tons of pressure on last week and recovering a fumble. Love me some Dominic Davis. And then also Tufele then. I think Tufele, I don't know.
Tufele.
Fuck.
I can never. I always
Whatever.
say his name a
He's
different
local,
way.
man, down the street from me.
Either way, the man, likely I think he's going to have a spot sealed up, and that's why I think Davis ends up on the practice squad. Raymond Johnson, the third, just continues to make plays. Another guy I hope makes it to the practice squad, because I don't see him making this 53. But all he does is make plays the last 2 preseasons. And then Jeffrey Gunner and him teamed up for a sack. And then Owen Carney out of Illinois also had a sack. I think those are all practice squad candidates, except maybe Jeffrey Gunner. So just in general, D-line thoughts. And then if we want to get into kind of how do you think Dominic Davis, the Tupous, the Tufeles, the Raymond Johnsons, Jeffrey Gunners, who makes the roster of all that crew?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like I've had a lot of conversations with people where the Bengals' second string D line could be a starting D line. So like when you start getting down the depth, like you have a lot of quality guys that are going to end up not making the team, and they're going to get picked up. Their team, I wouldn't be surprised if people just target the Bengals cuts because they've proven to do so much with their D line, where the depth is such a high quality at such a high level.
I do like Gunner. I like Gunner quite a bit. I did, for the record.
Just throwing it out there. But, I think it's gonna be interesting to see who they do keep and who they think they can sneak.
It's a deep D line. It's a very deep.
Yeah.
Like how many do we typically keep?
10.
Okay.
You want 9 or 10, yeah, just to keep, and especially if they feel confident they can rotate them, like everyone's been talking about, and kind of like teams like the Niners and the Eagles do, where you're getting 9 guys, but 9 guys have 250 plus snaps throughout the season.
So let me run through some names. All right, so we obviously have these 4 that are 100,000,000% making the team: Hubbard, Reeder, Hill, Hendrickson. Then you have Sample,
Murphy.
Tupou, Carter, Osai.
Yeah.
Are any of these guys not making the team?
I think they're all good.
That's why I'm saying it's not about
The
not
starting
liking
D-line right
Hunter
there.
or
Yeah. I mean,
Basham or
so then-
anyone else.
and then
It's
beyond that,
deep.
you have Miles Murphy.
Yeah.
He might make the team.
That's already 9. And so then you got Tufele, and then you got all the other guys that you just mentioned. Your Jeff Gunter, Basham, Carney, Davis, Johnson. There's
To
one
me,
other guy
it
I'm
comes
forgetting.
down to you keep 60 ends and 4 D tackles, or do you go 5-5? And I think they go 5-5 because they did it last year. And I think that 5th is Tufele, and that's how it shakes out. And that's unfortunate for somebody like Jeff Gunner, who I loved that draft pick in the 7th round because I had a 4th, 5th round grade on him. And if it wasn't for injury, the man, he blocked a field goal or punt, whatever that was, against Miami. He was showing flashes. Like, he was active last year as a rookie early on in the season. I love Gunter. I do think Basham even could be solid, but the injury I think is going to knock him basically off the roster because we haven't seen him, right?
Yeah.
As far as I know, he's still out.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, it's a great problem to have, but I mean, like you were kind of saying, Parker, I mean, it's just like, God, our depth is really damn good at D-line. Like, holy crap. Like, until you said that, I was like, I got to pull up this depth chart. And now I'm looking at everyone. I'm like, damn.
There's no spot.
I don't want to cut any of these guys.
Cam Sample's not going anywhere, and he's your fifth D.
Yep, correct.
I mean, him, Murphy, you can debate who's actually fifth and who's fourth in that order. Yeah. Because to me, I think Sample is really your 4. Because once again, that was something we were looking for, Murphy to make some plays. Yes. Did you guys see Murphy do anything again?
No, I still need to see him expand his toolbox, he's got to use some moves. He's got to have a plan. Like I feel like he's still just running into guys. I mean, he's decent at what he's good at, but I need to see more out of him. I need to see him expand his toolbox and show that he can be an NFL D lineman.
Yeah, but he's not going anywhere. He's 21 years old and he's a first-round pick. But I think he's a game day inactive the first few weeks. I've been saying that.
Could be.
I think he's going to be on the roster, but if you got to cut down a few guys on that game day, well, I think Murphy's going to be one of them.
Oh, and Antoine said Murphy.
Yeah, no, he didn't play this week. He played just from week 1. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes me feel a little because I just thought, man, I don't remember jack shit from him.
Yeah, I was like, I don't remember Murphy's even. I didn't see 99.
But I do think it's interesting, and I think the conversation, especially with these, these deeper position groups that the Bengals have, what you have to ask yourself is like these guys that we may like, we may like the player for whatever reason, but it's how do they make it? Like who do you pull off to put them into the group? Are they better than that 10th guy? Are they better than that 9th guy? Like, are they worth keeping around, or are they worth the risk to let go? And that's where the Bengals have 8 guys that they can't let hit waivers because they will not come back. But they have this next group of guys that they can let go. Some of them will probably get picked up, but some of them, I mean, they snuck a few guys through last year. They snuck a few guys onto their practice squad last year. So
that's one thing you get.
Stanley Morgan or Thomas that they let go and then re-signed immediately.
It was Trenton Irwin.
Oh, it's Irwin. You're right. I totally forgot about that.
And Mike Thomas.
Yeah, Mike Thomas. That was the one I was thinking of.
But yeah, a good problem to have having a deep D line. But it's just like, oh man, they didn't keep this guy who flashed all. It's like you can't. Yeah. Who are you getting? You can't get rid of these other guys. But you hope to stash them on the practice squad. Injuries come up. You feel good about these guys. They've shown flashes. They can step in, especially the ones that have been here a couple of years, like the Dominique Davis, the Raymond Johnsons, the Jeffrey Gunners. He's one I'm afraid will get scooped up, not keeping him because probably. I think his ceiling is so high, and I'm going to be sad when we lose him.
Yep.
If we lose, but maybe you think guys aren't going to make it through, and they do a lot of times.
Yep.
Moving to linebacker. One guy I didn't mention, friend of the show who's been on, Marcus fucking Bailey, baby. Put some respect on his fucking name.
Yes, sir.
I think he'd be a starting linebacker anywhere else.
Other than here.
Most places. I won't say anywhere, but a lot of other teams he'd be a starter. And here, he's not even our third. We played 2 main ones. He's not even our third because Akeem Davis Gaither. He's our 4th linebacker here. He showed out.
Yep.
He should have had an interception. I'm sure he's kicking himself for that. But he played good against the run, good against the pass. He has speed. He's special teams staple. And what I liked is they sent him on the blitz a couple times, and he was wrecking havoc doing that. So I want to shout out Marcus Bailey. What were your thoughts on Marcus Bailey? Keandre Jones also had a sack, and Bocce, who got dinged up week 1, was back with 5 tackles. I think that position's set with the top 5, Bocce being the 5th. Keandre Jones, Shaka Hayward being your practice squad guys. You hope to get him there. But Marcus fucking Bailey, guys. Come on, let's get the hype train going.
I was so fucking excited for Marcus Bailey. Of course we had him on, so I'm probably biased.
But he plays goal line too. He is a goal line player.
For sure.
He will be in there at goal line.
Yeah, it's not like he's just warming the bench. He is.
Remember when Sam Hubbard got that touchdown, everybody? Oh, who made the block? Oh, that was fucking Marcus Bailey in the playoff game.
Mark Andrews.
Choo choo. The hype train, baby. Marcus Bailey.
He just
Love you,
he looked amazing. I was just like, man, in that alternate universe where Pratt didn't resign, that's what I thought might happen, is that Marcus Bailey could be playing for a starting job, and he could have done it, and still might one day. But obviously our linebackers are locked up, and I'm happy that we have this amazing depth, just like at D-line, where we got Wilson, Pratt, Bailey, ADG, and like you said, Batchy is pretty much locked up for that position. But yeah, super happy for Marcus Bailey. He looked awesome.
Yeah, I just, like you said, it's another group where we somehow retained both of our returners, like returning starters, and now we're just extremely deep. All right, I don't think we had. I mean, obviously, there's concerns. There's going to be a drop off. But I don't think anyone was like crazily concerned about who we had filling in with ADG and Marcus Bailey. So I don't think. That's a crazy group, and they can do some fun things with all the multiple packages they can pull out with all these linebackers, all these D linemen. I'm excited to watch the front seven or front eight, whatever it is, depending on the situation this year, because I mean they have some legit talent that can go, and they have some guys that just are backups due to a surplus of wealth of talent on this defensive front. So I love it. I just love that their defensive front seven is so talented. That's all I have to say, because they show out every freaking game they play.
And I've noticed a shift from a lot of the times we're talking about offense. We're just like, man, I hope our starters stay healthy because the guys behind them fucking suck. And now defense, we're just like, we are good. And I mean, that shows a lot just how we've drafted recently. I mean, we have drafted heavy on defense. We've invested a lot, and it is paying off.
And we retained the best free agent, Joe. Yep. We retained the best free agent. His name is fucking Lou Anarumo. And happy birthday to Lou. I think his birthday.
Happy birthday, Lou.
Yeah. Fucking, you deserve all the drinks you want to have this weekend, Lou, because you're the fucking man. And we fucking love you.
I love Lou.
Shout out
Lou.
Lou.
So much.
Hope he's here forever.
Yes. I love him. Defensive back. A little shaky last week at corner. Safeties looked phenomenal. But we'll talk a little about last week and mix in with this week, and then we'll talk roster spots. But first, let's just go kind of players that stood out, and we'll just break them down one by one because I think these guys deserve the love. I already mentioned Cam Taylor-Britt, Mike Hilton with the play, so and Cheeto's not even back like that. That's just to show the depth to start with. Mentioning that DJ Burner, Juan Drago, whatever you want to call the man, phenomenal,
so good.
He's always in great position.
He's always there.
He's with that first group. I mean, his recovery speed on a tackle on a screen last week in person just like made me come in my pants. But his ball skills is still a work in progress. We saw that on the Drake London. I don't know that he could have played that any better. And Drake London is a big dude and a freak show.
He's a good player.
Yeah. But I do think from practice and everything else, I've been saying it all week, that he needs to improve his ball skills. But overall, DJ Turner, if we need somebody to fill in, I feel very good about that draft pick and that rookie. So we'll start with DJ Turner. What have you guys from practice and the first two preseason games saw and thought about DJ Turner?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Parker. You go first.
Yeah, so you're both so fucking excited. You both want to talk about it.
I love DJ Turner. He's awesome. No, it's crazy because I was so excited coming into this year because of all the speed they have on the back end. They may have been young. There was a lot of question marks, but I said from the beginning that it's crazy what you can do as a defensive back with speed, because you might not be the best technical guy, you might not be the best at tracking the ball, but these guys are always by the ball. They're always making plays. They're always in position to make plays. And that's something that DJ Turner really capitalizes on, where, like you said, he's not the best at tracking. He's great at getting his head around, great at still making the play, maintaining a good relationship with the receiver, but he's always around the play. No matter where it is, no matter what it is, he's always there. He's just flying around. That's what I wanted to see out of this group of young guys that are just crazy fast. And that's what they do. They just fly around back there, where I think that's going to help this defense over the long term, where they might have these issues with the younger safeties or they haven't been in the system for very long, whatever you want to look at it as. But just the speed that they have on the back end is going to save them in some situations, I think, where they might blow an assignment, for one reason or another, but they'll be able to recover. I mean, think about that Dax Hill play in week 1. So that's all I wanted to say because I love the speed. It's the only position that I actually value an RAS score. I just love to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, you took a lot of what I was going to say. I mean, DJ Turner is DJ fucking Burner. I mean, he's everything is advertised. He's everything I hope for. It's just like he is a phenomenal athlete. And he's still a rookie. He's still got parts of his game that need a lot of polish. But, man, he's a fucking track star. And that's what you need in today's game. These guys are fast. And I'm super excited for what he's going to grow into. Nothing but great things. It's looking like a home run pick, knock on wood.
Yeah. Another guy I wanted to mention was Jalen Davis, because as we all the numbers and even before the preseason game 1, a lot of people was like, oh, maybe we're not that deep at corner. But Jalen Davis, no one ever wants to mention him, but I always made sure to mention his name because he's been here and they signed him to a 2-year deal for a reason. He's just a solid veteran that is strictly a slot type player to back up Mike Hilton. I fully think he makes this roster. Would you guys agree with that as Mike Hilton's backup?
I would. I just wrote next to Jalen Davis's name, rock solid. He doesn't jump off the page like DJ Turner or these athletes, but he's just solid. Like he's doesn't make any awful mistakes or decisions. He's just solid. He's a sound tackler, and I like him.
He had a sack and 5 tackles, by the way, just to give his stats.
Yeah.
He's got a linebacker stat line, and he's playing picking corner, bro.
I
think the best thing about him is where you have these very high-end athletes, young high-end athletes on the back end, young in the NFL, still learning a lot. And what you need to really balance out the highs and lows that you're going to experience there is a consistency. And that's where I think he provides a lot of that. He's a very consistent guy, like Joe said. And I feel like he can kind of stabilize that back end. They know what they're going to get out of him. And what this team needs out of its vets is consistency, because they want to start swinging on some of these high-end profile players at multiple positions. So what they need to counter that is consistency. And that's why I think guys like him and Cheeto are just guys that are really going to balance out this defense and really going to make this back end lethal.
Now, to me, if they keep 6 or they keep 7 is interesting for the cornerback strictly at this point before we get into safeties. DJ Ivey, I thought, didn't have a real good first week, but we've seen a ton of clips from practice where he's shown up and been a very, very good 7th round. Dude, he's everything you could hope for in a 7th round pick with his pterodactyl arms, making plays, making plays against some damn good players that play in the NFL and practice every day. But he ended up with 4 tackles, and he had that pass defense that everybody will remember that basically saved the game. They catch that, it's over. He played that perfectly. Like Atlanta was like, oh, he had him, and it's like, no. DJ Ivey was step for step with him and knocked the ball away. It was just a day at the park for him, and he played it good. The moment wasn't too big for him. That was good to see, because I thought week 1 he might have had some jitters, and the moment was too big for him under the bright lights when he had been playing well in practice. To me, I think he's solidified. If they only keep 6, he's 6. I think he's got enough skill. You can't risk putting him as a cut because I think somebody takes him. He's too talented of a player. Too much there to develop to risk losing. And then if they keep 7, I honestly think I would take Alan George over Sidney Jones at this point, even though Sidney's the veteran and it's only his 2nd year. So between those 3, you guys can start with Ivy or just between those 3. How do you see that cornerback shaking out with whether it's 6 or 7?
I'll let you start, Parker.
Oh, boy. Well, I think when you're looking at who you're going to send to the practice squad to start, you want to retain on your roster the high ceiling guys. The high floor guys you can let go. You're going to lose a couple of them because some teams just need it. Like we talked about consistency. They need kind of that guy that's going to be stable for them. But you have to keep the high ceiling guys and see if they pan out. And that's where I think I love DJ Ivey making the team, just because he has that potential. And I just think he's not the most sound player. He gets burnt. sometimes often, but he has the ability to recover and make a play on the ball. He has the ability to recover and just finish the play. That's where I think that's what the Bengals are really, if you look at the profile they're building on the back end of their defense, that's the guy they want. That's where I think we've all talked about the Sidney Jones situation, where that's not ideal currently for a multitude of reasons.
Yep.
But I think out of those three, DJ Abbey's the obvious pick, and I think Sidney Jones would be my third. So
I think they'll try to get Allen on the practice squad. Honestly, I think
I like
they'll go
AG,
with
but
six. I do too. He's very good. He showed up last year as an undrafted guy and done everything right.
It's one of those situations where it's like, and I love that it came up in the Detroit Lions Hard Knocks, but it's like you as a player, you have to, find a way to make them keep you or make it hard for them to let you go.
Yeah.
I think he's done a great job at that, where I think he's a great, just character guy. And then he's also a hard worker. He's doing all the right things. He might end up losing the battle purely from an athletic perspective. So,
yeah, I mean, overall, my biggest impressions from the corner room have been the DJs, DJ Turner and DJ Poison Ivy. I mean, I never expect much for these, really late round picks. I'm just like, they'll be borderline make the team. They're probably practice squad guys. He's really impressed me. And I didn't realize just like how long this guy was and how good he is just about just breaking passes up, just because he's got these freakishly long arms and he knows how to get in position properly. Like, he's still raw, and that's why he went so late. But I'm really excited about it. I'm super excited about DJ Ivy. I will be pissed if he does not make the team and someone else picks him up.
Yeah, that's going to be the one this year that really hurts me.
I would throw something across the room.
Him and Jeff Gunner. Jeff Gunner as the second-year guy.
Yeah, like you said, Parker, his ceiling is sky high. I mean, he's a playmaker. Can he put it all together and become a starting corner one day? We'll see.
But even if he wasn't a starting, I think he could slide over and be a good safety.
Yeah.
I think he can play that Trey Flowers role of guarding the tight end, where maybe
that's a really good point.
Maybe he can't keep up with every speedster, but he could play that role.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to lose him. I think there's too much there.
Agreed. That is the one guy that he's number one on my list. Like, please don't cut him.
I think just one more interesting point to make about just the cornerback room. It's one of those spots, just like O and D line, where how many outside corners do you keep versus how much depth do you want at the slot position? How many of those hybrid guys do you want around? How many corner safeties do you want? Just kind of looking at those versatile guys that can move into other spots is something that I think is interesting to think about too, just in that conversation.
Well, I think that's why Jalen Davis makes it, because he's the main backup, and that they're going to start Dax Hill at one of the safety spots.
Yep.
But worst case scenario, you move Dax Hill, and then you play a Nick Scott and Jordan Battlemore, and the guy who I wanted to talk about at safety, superstar of last week, had another 5 tackles this week, special team stud from Toledo, Tyson Anderson. He looks like he belongs in the NFL.
He really does.
Size, speed, he's got it all. Thoughts on him?
Yeah, he a lot of people in the offseason were talking him up when it was like, who's going to replace Bates and Bell? And they're like, hey, we got Tyson Anderson. I was just like, I mean, do we? Is that really good enough?
Have we seen it?
I mean, I was really lukewarm on it. Not that I thought he was a bad player. I'm just like, I haven't seen it yet. All right. I will give some credence to those folks that were banging 100%. The Tyson Anderson drum, because he looks good.
I think one of them was Ace Boogie.
He was, Ace for sure was Ace. One of them. Shout out Ace.
I'm still glad we brought in other guys, but Tyson looks like he belongs, and he might be something special one day, and that one day might not be too far off.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how he develops, and I think he's definitely locked up a roster spot.
Yeah, I don't want to say I was the Tyson Anderson truther, because I wasn't, but I was a big advocate of give this guy his shot, let him try and earn that starting position, bring in a guy that can compete with him, not a guy that can replace him. because I loved his profile. I loved his potential, but he was a low production guy at Toledo.
Yep.
He was kind of hit and miss, but I was like, I want to see what this guy can do in that, in that full-time role. Let him get as many reps as he can. I don't want him to be in a deep battle where he's limited on weapons. I think he's a guy that's going to need the experience and just need, those live bullets over and over again to really feel comfortable in that role. But I think he's shown a lot of promise. And I wasn't a truther, but I feel good that I liked his stock early. I was definitely a buy early guy on Tyson Anderson. And I'm glad that he's early.
I definitely thought he wasn't going anywhere. I didn't know what his ceiling is, and now I feel like I've seen it a little more to speak on it.
Definitely a high variance guy.
Yeah, I think his ceiling is higher, but all the reports were special teams plays all, and there's a place for size, speed, special teams in the NFL. You're always going to have a role for those guys.
Did we keep 4 safeties last year or 5?
I think it was it only 4, and they got rid of Mike Thomas but brought him back.
Yeah, that's what it was. We got rid of Mike Thomas and then brought him back. I wonder if Mike Thomas is still here. Because you got Scott, you got Hill, you got Battle, you got Tyson.
Yeah. I had said earlier, I think that they do what they did with him last year. They cut him and they bring him back, but I'm starting to think that there's just not the roster spot for him this year, unfortunately. And shout out Uncle Mike, because he got emotional about how well Tyson played last week. Knowing that could be his roster spot. He's a real one, man. That's a real dude right there.
I mean, he just cares so much about this team and the players. I mean, I would hate to lose him just from a locker room presence guy, and he's a solid role player. He is the staff. Man. He is that. Yeah, exactly. Put him as an.
But he's a Stanford grad. He owns businesses. Right. He has other stuff.
Such a good dude. Sorry, Parker. What were you gonna say?
No, you're good. I was listening to the Bengals Booth podcast the other day, and they were talking to Tyson Anderson about I guess he was talking to Tyson Anderson about kind of that relationship with Mike Thomas, especially going through what he went through last year and kind of how that helped him get to where he is now. And that was just a great listen, and just about the leadership and just the camaraderie in this entire locker room that we talk about all the time. Yeah. I think you can get worried when you have these really solid veteran presences in your locker room, and if you're on the verge of losing some of them for whatever reason, there can be a concern with these young guys maintaining that. But I think especially Mike Thomas, these guys are going to carry on that culture, and they're really going to enforce that, and that's really been, I think, set in stone. I just love that guy. I love the culture that this team has, and he's a big piece of that.
Yeah, and they also talked about Tyson was getting down about the injuries and stuff, and Mike just kind of was there for him, invited him over Thanksgiving dinner since he's all the way in Cleveland, and I think Tyson said that it's his second big brother. He already has one big brother, and now he has 2 because of Mike Thomas. So, I mean, that's special. He said it's a lifelong friend / brother, no matter what.
Yep. Good.
Now, if you guys don't have anything else on the safeties, going to move on to special teams, baby. We're a special teams podcast.
Did we do all the positions? It felt like we did. I forgot about special teams.
Good to see Drew.
Forget about special teams, Joe.
I know I shouldn't with our boy, friend of the show, Brad Robbins.
Yeah, good to see Drew Chrisman back. After whatever was going on with the medicals, it sounded like it could have been he never kicked again. Even I think that was his words. I'm not trying to put words out there. I don't know what happened or whatever. But I will say, I do think Brad looked better this week than he looked last week. So the mustachioed masher, the bald bomber, I think it's his job, and I think he's going to be our starting punter. Do you guys agree or disagree? And that's no knock on Drew. I hope he lands on his feet and finds another job. But I think we drafted Brad Robbins for a reason. He's good at pinning it inside the 20, and he does have a little better overall leg and hang time when you need it.
Yep.
Honestly, just overall profile-wise, I think he's impressed, whether it's distance, whether it is hang time. I have heard that there's been accuracy concerns. I can't speak to that. I haven't really seen – they don't post a lot of full-on punting clips, and I haven't been paying attention to the punts.
I thought consistency week 1 was the biggest problem. He was not consistent, and I think he would say the same because I seen him walking off on the sideline looking pissed off a couple of times.
I think that's something that's going to come with time, and I think he'll get there. But I think he's the better guy, and I have high hopes. I know it's weird to talk about it, but I have high hopes for his ceiling. As a punter. So
Yes, I agree.
Yep.
What are your thoughts, Joe? On the
Yeah, not much to add. Robbins has looked just like I thought he would. I mean, I think he's got the biggest thing, and you sold this to me, Dale, early on, was he's got the hang time, and that's looked good. So no concerns. I don't have much more to break down from a punting perspective because I hope we don't have to do it a lot.
Yeah, I thought he was more consistent this week than he was last week. I really feel like it was nerves first pro game. You can say whatever. It's preseason, but these guys, they're going to be some nerves, man. It's
still an NFL game.
Yeah, it's your career. It's your job. It's your job now. It's your job now, too. This is.
Hell yeah.
And when you are in a competition, whether it is or isn't, and I know Drew didn't play last week, but he's still in a competition for a job. And there's only so many of them in the NFL. There's 32 of them.
And of course, we love Drew. Everything he's doing with DoorDash and everything like that. What an amazing human being. And I don't think he's going to make our 53, but I hope he just does well in life in general because he's.
I will say there was one point we were punting out of the end zone, and I thought they should fake this and let Brad just house it like he did in that high school video he told us about. I think it's going to happen, but it's preseason. We're saving that. We're saving it. Just know it's coming.
AFC Championship game. Here he comes.
Yep.
Yeah. Punting from the end zone. Oh, there goes Brad Robbins. He houses the motherfucker. Game-changing play.
God. Lose my
Dell
shit.
comes in his pants. Yeah. And then we'll mention McPherson. Is there much to mention? It looks like if there was a slump at all last year, a sophomore slump, he's back.
He's good. He's pretty good.
Yeah. What was he?
He hit that 51-yarder. That would have been good from 75. So
Did he hit a 52-yarder or was it like a 50-yarder?
I have it down as a 50 officially, but it could have, like Parker said, it could have been whatever you wanted it to be.
Yeah. He's good. He's Money Mac. And I wasn't worried about him last year. He didn't play as lights out as his rookie year, but that was going to be a hard season to top for anybody.
Well, once Clark went, the whole setup just things
exactly that whole thing got fucked.
They've had plenty of time to work all that through now during the offseason. And I guess I'll give credit to Cal Adamitis. I mean, he's an okay long snapper, it seems, and been no issues. Clark would still have better hair, but
and stash.
Yeah. And
46 on his jersey, number 1 in our hearts.
Will always be number 1. But yeah, Parker, we got to talk about some of the exciting stuff with you now that we got through that. That was a good breakdown, by the way, guys. Congratulations.
That was good. That was fun. I haven't done one of those ever, so that was fun for me.
Hey, there was before you talk about your stuff, there was one name on the O-line we didn't talk about, and I don't know if I'll be honest, I haven't been following news as close as I could, so maybe I missed an injury. What's going on with Jackson Kirkland?
Parker was. If you were following Parker on Twitter today,
I've been a little tuned.
He's a big guy. He's a big guy, undrafted guy. You think, okay, he was decent at Washington, had a lot of injuries. Maybe we got a little Jim here, a little undrafted Jim.
Yeah, I was
so far
hoping
through 2 preseason games. Parker, I'll let you talk about it.
I was a big Kirkland sympathizer, and that's a big L so far. That does not feel good.
It's unfortunate.
I'll take it too.
Yeah, I said after week 2, I think he's a practice squad guy. I don't think he's going anywhere. And then there's people saying that he's not worth the practice squad. And he's an undrafted free agent rookie.
Right.
I think he still has potential. I put an article about him.
1,000% still putting him on the practice squad.
Yeah, I did a write-up about him, during the offseason, just about – I did him and Ben Brown. And I was like, these are 2 guys. They could come in and battle it out for a spot. They're 2 guys I'm very high on. One of them's panning out, more or less. And then the other ones, I'm like, we'll sit on that one, let him get some NFL experience with Frank and, just figure it out. But he is not. He's been kind of getting bullied. The game looks really fast for him.
That one clip you posted.
Yeah.
And to be fair, he was on the move a little, it seemed like.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Everything looks really fast for him, and that's something that people don't talk about a lot. But when you're going from the college game, especially he was a Pac-12 guy, going to the NFL, like the game's a lot faster. And I mean, it's just you can tell. And if you don't know what that means, I guess I can go into that more another time. But like, it's just he's not processing very well, and he doesn't look like he has great play strength. Like he's got a lot of stuff to work on, and I think he can do it. I think he still get there, but I think he's more of a project guy.
He's a project,
and you can't teach size, and he has the size.
He's got it. He's got it.
Yep,
he's definitely
he fits the profile of what they're trying to get. He just needs to use it.
It's worth developing for sure. And practice squad is 16 guys now. Yeah. Why wouldn't you try? Like,
why are you leaving a spot open on the practice squad, guys? Like, why are we?
Yeah, never.
Yeah. Why are we doing that?
All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder, Parker. What have you got going on? What's been cooking? And yeah, tell us what we can look forward to with you.
Yeah, no, it officially feels like football season's here. We just finished our second game with the team I coach. And now I'm getting into, I'm starting to write for all.
Well, how are they looking? Let's start there because
we have like a preseason game that still counts for your record, so we don't count as a preseason game. But so we've had 2 games so far. We're classified as 2A in Utah, and then it goes all the way up to 6A. So we're pretty small. We're a small school, less than 600 kids. And then we play 2 5A schools, a lot bigger than us, just physically bigger schools than us. They have a lot more talent to pull from. Sure. And week 1, we won 27-24. And this week, we were actually 30-point underdogs in the local newspaper, and we won 24-0.
Oh, yeah.
So that was pretty solid.
Good for you, man. That's amazing.
My only goal, so I'm only coaching. This is my second to last year. Next will be my last year coaching. And we have a junior running back, and my goal
is set a limit of only coaching a certain amount?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I want to do all this other stuff, and I've had a rough.
Okay, all right. We'll go back to the goals. I won't. I just do.
It is what it is. Coaching.
Well, I coached junior high track for like 3 years, and it wasn't like that was a pretty lax like sport parent wise. But I've seen being in teaching profession the way even like junior high football and high school football and parents like how they run it. I don't know about your experience, but
no, my brother's on the team and he's a junior this year, so I'm gonna let it ride it out with him. And when he graduates, I'll kill it. But I think 6 years is plenty. Had a great experience. So we also have a junior running back, and he's got a really high ceiling in my opinion. So it's my goal to get him 1,000 yards the next 2 years, and we are still on pace. We are still on pace for 1,000 yards this year. That's all that matters. So
that's awesome, brother.
But yeah, it's been fun. So yeah, that's going great. I put up my first article of the season for all Bengals this week, just recapping week 1. I'll be hopefully doing a couple, or at least a couple, hopefully a few this week. Recapping week 2, again a preview of week 3, and then maybe another takeaway article. So that's going, and then got hooked up with Chatterbox, because I'm not doing enough. So we're doing that post-game stuff. Started last week with Eric and Game On. What they do, we're going to go live, kind of partway through the 4th quarter, have live reactions as the game rounds out, and then we'll do a post-game immediately after, still live, just takeaways. I wasn't able to last week because I had a game on Friday. That happens sometimes. But I will be there this Thursday. Will be my first week on Chatterbox, so make sure you tune in Thursday during the 4th quarter, and then post-game.
I feel so proud.
Dude.
It's like my son is doing
I may or may not have something else in the works coming to you for week 0.
Of course.
College football. So
plus you can subscribe.
You can subscribe. Still, right? I do have subscriptions available on Twitter as well, or X, or whatever you want to call it these days. So I
keep forgetting that it's X.
Yep, whatever it is. I think it's funny when you see bigger brands that still have the Twitter logo instead of the X. Always makes me giggle.
It's Twitter.com. Like you gotta go to Twitter.com.
It's still Twitter.com. I still type
they don't have the X.com yet.
Yeah.
I'm not typing that one in. What I provide for my subscribers is, so I do my broadcast breakdowns. I do, kind of a recap, especially of the All-22, and just kind of, the basic grades that I'm doing when I get.
I feel guilty when you sometimes send me your grades. Like Parker, I'm a teacher. I'm really poor.
But
thank you.
No, yeah, all I'm doing, so I do the general grades, the overall grades, and then I'm doing the top 5 run and pass blockers of the week right now during preseason. I'll probably tone that back and just do like a spotlight guy as we get into the season. But then my subscribers are getting the full run pass splits for all the players during the preseason right now, and then they'll get the full splits during the season for everybody.
They might get the breakdown of the grades of versus certain players,
Yep.
Joe.
You will be able to see player versus player on if you get the full list of 9 guys that are playing or 9+ guys that are playing. And then I'm also doing a lot more of the end zone cut content on my subscription feed. Just trying to I set it up a long time ago. Didn't put a lot of content out during the off season, so I'm really just dumping a lot of stuff in there and just kind of putting my cut ups on the open page. So I know people hate the paywall, but to keep my wife around, I gotta act like I'm getting paid for stuff.
Right.
So.
That's what people don't understand. Like, hey, that's probably why I'm potentially going through a divorce because I do put all my passion into this and I make 0 millions.
Yeah.
So I do don't hate on a content creating person because they want to get paid for the content they push out and put a lot of time and effort into. Like I've seen people hate on even Joe Goodberry, and I'm like, do you all realize he has been on Twitter giving free content since like 2009?
Yeah, it is a labor of love.
Yes, it's a labor of love, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
at the end of the day, we all have bills and people to answer to if you're married or have a girlfriend or whatever as a guy or boyfriend or whatever. We don't judge. So boy that has a boyfriend, whatever. You've got stuff, you know what I mean? And, you should get a second job. You fucking spending all the time doing it. Trust me, you hear the shit like this.
Oh, yeah.
If somebody, and that's the thing, man, what are you at? Like $3 to $5? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I'm just
$4
for mine. I'm putting a bunch of shit out there. So
you're just supporting somebody who's working their ass off. They're not asking, and if you can't, dude, that's fine.
Just move on.
Yeah, but
you're not entitled to anything for free.
I hate when I see people bitching about it. That bothers me because I'm like, you got to understand the time and effort these guys are putting in. Like that's, I understand if you don't have the money. Like,
right?
I don't have the money to subscribe to all these guys, and
I don't have money either. That's why I'm open to subscribers.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
but I put a bunch of stuff out, for free or whatever, just on my open page. It's just more of the in-depth stuff, that way when people, if they want to subscribe, I hope you're subscribing because you want to know more. I'm not assuming that I'm not putting just boring stuff out there. I'm doing the more in-depth stuff. I have a couple ideas I'm going to roll out this season. A lot of my stats that I'm going to start tracking this season will mostly be on that side just because that's a lot more intensive. It's a lot more time intensive. But I will still be putting a bunch of content out this season. All my articles obviously are free. All that stuff will come out. All these podcasts I'm trying to get involved in are free. I still got a bunch of content out there, but if you do,
we're still getting it for free. We can't afford to pay no money. So when it comes on here, he's doing it just for free. So,
well, you're coming to Paycor this year, right?
Yes, I am. At least one time.
And
it's already set,
right? 9/14.
Yeah, we officially booked where we're staying. We got the flight checked away. We're coming. So it is mid-season for me. So it's just a quick weekend trip. It's not the week long that we did last time because I have to get back for practices and I have to be there for the game on Friday. But we're coming in Saturday. We're leaving Monday. We're coming in for week 2 of the Ravens. And I'm super pumped to be at the home opener.
He's coming in for my fucking birthday, everybody.
That's the only reason.
It was just for Dale. It was just for Dale, just so everyone knows.
He was coming into town for your birthday, and he's like, "Oh, there's a Bengals game
there's a
too.
game
I guess I'll go to that."
Might as well go to the game.
But
we're excited to see you and hang out with you.
Yes, sir. Lot 1, I'll be there all day until the game.
Yeah, we don't really advertise our tailgate like some others, and we don't really have a tailgate. We hang out. Parker, you've been
hang out
there.
in lot 1.
Are we lying when we say?
Are we lying when we say and Sarah don't have the van anymore, so I don't know how this is going to go. It's I think Sarah has an SUV now, but we hang out by Derek and Sarah's SUV. I think we have a flag. We're going to put up a flag. I know Raleigh has a flag. I think we have a flag. We're going to put a flag up with our stuff just to be like, hey, we hang out with this vehicle.
Yeah.
We hang near the bomb squad, but we're not.
I want to clarify, we are not a tailgate. We're not trying to compete with other tailgates.
No.
We don't give a shit about any of that.
No, it's
We're
funny
not
because
trying
we
to
actually
overtake anything.
We're having our flag in case you want to come say hi to us.
Well, there would be people that'd be like, "Hey, I'm trying to find you guys," and I'd be like, "Well, we're close to the bomb squad."
We're
And they're like,
somewhere
"I don't
near
know where the
this
fuck
old
that is."
van.
Yeah. Look for the gray van in the parking lot.
Look for the idiot, the all orange arrow suit.
Yeah. That's
No, but it
usually
was
how
fun
they found
because
us.
when we were out there for the Bills game last year, it was our first time ever being in Cincinnati, being at a game, doing any of that stuff. So we came in with the mindset, we're gonna try and hop around and see where the best spot is to be, what matches our vibe, and it's just we're not the big crazy party tailgaters either. We just like hanging out, having good food, having good conversation, hanging out with cool people. That's why I keep telling everyone. Only reason I keep telling people is if you want to come say hi, I want to say hi to everybody that
Dude,
I can.
I'm the same way. Like
Yep.
that's why we got the flags. I don't want people to be like,
Yes, sir.
because I seen that the other day. It was like, well, oh yeah, that you guys have a tailgate, and I was like, no. I was very
Tailgate.
specific that I don't want it to be
It's not an event.
the flags are here because we want to hang out with people that want to hang out with us and people we've got to meet or know through social media and meet them in person. But yeah, we're not we're not doing all that.
But we love
Not
it.
gonna be
That's why we're
Dale
going
Allman
back,
and
'cause we
friends
just love
tailgate.
we
Yeah,
love the
we're not
vibes,
doing
man.
that.
We love the vibes. It's chill time over there.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that's like I'm just more low key, man. Like some of these are and good for them. Like,
Yeah.
dude, they're killing it and they're crushing it.
Oh,
and the
like we
sponsorships and
hang
this
out
and
near
that.
the bomb squad.
But I'm gonna be honest with you.
it's fun.
I ain't cleaning up after your motherfucking asses. There's
Hell
trash
no.
cans, trash bags. Y'all clean up after your fucking selves, like straight up. I've seen people with these big tailgates, like they stay cleaning up like 400 trash bags. Like after a game, like imagine how dog ass tired you are getting there early in the morning, and then after the game late at night, you're cleaning up this corner of a parking lot or different ones that it's like, man, y'all grown ass people.
Yeah.
So my brother here is asking what time is lot.
That's a
one
great
open?
question that I have, Dale.
It is always 4:00 prior to game time. Now,
4
if
hours.
you want what's
4
the-
o'clock prior to
4
game.
Jesus fucking Christ, I've had a few rums. It's 4 hours prior.
Yes.
But if you want to park in Longworth, which is directly behind lot one, I think they're like fucking any fucking
They open
time.
like I know on 1 o'clock games they're open at like 7.
Yeah.
Whereas
Because
lot 1 doesn't open until 9 for a 1
I
o'clock
know
game.
Iceman and Matty Meyer would park there some in the
Yeah.
past and then just walk up to lot 1 because it's
too damn
like
early.
Longworth, then lot 1. It's just on your way to the stadium either way. So
Yep.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see everybody have a good time.
Me
We
too,
still
man.
have almost a month. That's the
It's
worst
been a
part, right?
long.
Let's go. The game's on
off-season.
like the 17th or something. So we're under a month.
We're getting there. We're getting
We're
there.
almost there.
Yeah. Can't
We
wait.
have had football though, and I've enjoyed it. And this week 3 football, Parker, I don't know how much we're going to be able to break that down because usually, like this is the old week 4.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting.
I don't look
But-
for like a side, anybody making the team basically playing
Right.
for the majority.
Yeah. This is really just a bubble week, Figure out those battles you have. Figure out if Jackson Carmen's sticking around. Figure out if you want to keep Cody Ford. Maybe we might see some good D-line play, though, because they need to figure out who their 10 are going to be.
I forgot that you were coming in, Dave. My brother lives in Akron. He's lived in Montana, fucking Missouri, all these fucking M states. But he's going to be coming. He lives in Akron now. He's going to come in just to tailgate on that day. So you're going to get to meet my brother, Parker and David.
I used
It'll
to live
be-
in Akron.
You used to live in Akron?
I did.
Did you have sex with a lot of hookers?
I mean,
That wasn't a no.
I don't know. I don't think my wife watches this show, but just in case.
I know. My
What's your
roommate-
number for a lot, Dale? I think that's what Joe's asking right now. What's
Above 4.
Everything's really.
Or did you have a good cycle of like 3 hookers? It's
Like a
a
one
city.
time or.
Oh, geez, big dick, daddy.
Hey, if you pay them enough.
Yeah. 2 big red-bearded fucks is going to be... You guys are going to love each other. I can already feel it.
I'm excited to meet your brother. He seems like a good dude.
It's like he has his beard is like this big. I can't
I've
grow one
seen
like
it.
that big.
I miss my beard sometimes, you know.
David.
Not in the summer though.
Not in the
No.
summer.
I know where Ken Moore is. So I used to live in Merriman Valley. I lived in Medina, Brunswick, kind of all over that area.
Sounds like fancy neighborhoods.
Medina.
Super fancy. Merriman Valley is where all the bars were. So I lived there when I was like 22 years old. And I literally lived across the street from this just kind of like outside mall of like 12 bars. It was awesome.
So you either stayed at the bar or you didn't sleep till the bar's closed.
It's the bar or the brothel for Joe.
Pretty much.
Yeah, the bar or the brothel.
Those were good times. Man, those were good times.
You said Medina is very nice compared to.
Yeah, Medina.
I've seen your house, David. Fuck you.
Medina
Your house-
is a little.
Your house could
like-
swallow my house and my garage.
Well, when I say I lived in Medina, I was more like Granger Township, which is like between Wadsworth and Medina, David.
I'm
So-
sure we have a huge listenership from the Akron area.
The
that
Akron
knows-
following we have here.
that
I'll talk
knows
to you more when we
exactly
see each other in
what the
person. We can
hell
talk
you
all
two are
about
talking
Northeast Ohio, except the Browns.
Cleveland!
Ohio,
This is for you. All right.
All right.
Well, we're going to end this one. I love you. It's been real.
Who dey?
It's been